any reason. Okay, so yeah, the session is on recording, and there is an indication also. Right. Okay, so why do we need, getting back to why do we need communication skills? Um, we have got a lot of answers in the chat section, right? Um, and I was telling you about the language skills which we are going to work on so that we can improve the overall linguistic competence of the students, okay, and eventually the communication skills. So basically there are other skills also, but basically there are 4 language skills. Okay, one is listening, speaking, second, third is reading, and uh, the last one is writing. Okay, so when we talk about communication, that we communicate, it does not mean that we communicate only by speaking or writing. Okay, when you are listening, when you are observing, when you are decoding any of the messages around in your surrounding, you are actually communicating. Okay, we are going to look at the communication process today, so you would know that communication does not mean speaking or writing. Okay, speaking and writing are the productive skills. Okay, and listening and reading are the receptive skills, right? um there's something wrong with this Zoom, right? Okay, the session will end in 10 minutes. There is I need to upgrade it, but I'll reconnect. Okay, you don't need to go or leave the class. I'll get back to you if we get disconnected, and we'll have these issues during the online classes anyway. So I was telling you about 4 skills, and you can divide them into 2. 2 skills are productive skills, speaking and writing, and 2 skills are your receptive skills, listening and reading. Okay, so right now what is happening in this class is we are communicating. Okay, it's just not I who is giving this lecture, but you who are listening and those who are able to decode, understand what I'm saying, are also communicating. Okay. Uh, all right. There are some questions in the chat section. Speaking and writing are productive skills. Okay. Naiba has already answered. And listening and reading are the receptive skills. Okay. Other than that, nonverbal communication skills are also another kind of skills, and we will have separate lectures on nonverbal communication that of course vary from one culture to another. Nonverbal communication is when you communicate without speaking, okay, through your body language, gesture, postures, eyes, eye contact. Okay, so all of that comes in non-verbal communication, and we are going to look at non-verbal communication across cultures. Okay, how one kind of non-verbal communication is decoded differently in different cultures. Okay, anyway, we'll have a separate lecture on that. So let's get back to why do we need good communication skills. As I told you that in today's world, we are communicating more than we were communicating in the previous years, on the previous decades, right? If you have come across job advertisements in the newspapers, beside having a degree, because the degree that you have is common amongst all the candidates, okay? So the employers are looking for something more, Everyone has a degree. Okay, once you complete your BS English and you'll apply somewhere for a job, all the candidates, of course, this is the requirement. And this is the basic requirement that you should have, whatever degree is required, and then it is mentioned in the job advertisement. But of course, employer is looking for something more than the degree. And much of the time, if you look at these job advertisements, I'll share some with you. Okay, let me find them out in Dawn newspaper, and I'll share it with you that almost 99% of these advertisements ask for good communication skills. Okay, and it is just not that they only mention it that they want good communication skills. They are actually looking for people who can communicate well at workplaces, and just not communicate with the boss or the higher ups, communicate amongst themselves, amongst the colleagues. Okay, and whatever workplace it is, basically um, the books that you will find on communication skills, they deal with communicating with the clients, communicating with the customers, communicating with the colleagues, and all of that, right? So any one of you who has better communication skills would, of course, will have an edge over the rest of the candidates if you're all of you are together applying for a job. Okay, once you're placed and you are successful in getting a job, good communication skills really count in your job performance. Okay, if two people are doing equal amount of work, okay, but one is communicating what he has done in a better way, right? So of course he's doing better than the other people. Okay, career advancement, all of these communication are essential for, we are talking in terms of workplace communication. Whose mic is on? Omul Banin, please mute yourself. Let me admit a few of your class fellows here. Okay, right. So career advancement, when you are going for promotions, of course, you need to have communication skills that are better than rest of the people competing for the same promotions. Okay, and I have given you example of how we are communicating even more during these COVID times, right? It is, you know, good communication skills would lead to success in the new world of work, right? So the new world of work is all about communication. Maybe it's, you know, communication on the internet, through IT technologies, verbal, non-verbal. We are going to look at the channels also. So all the time we are communicating, and face-to-face communication, maybe one of them, but most of the time you're not communicating face-to-face with people. Okay, so this is about communication skills at workplaces, but we would also going to talk about communication skills in our lives. Okay, so we are not always at our workplaces, or communication is just not needed at our offices, but at many other places also. Okay, so this is the process that I was talking about a while ago. As I told you that it's just not speaking or writing, right? Communication means listening and reading as well. So here you would see, because communication you would see is a two-way process. Okay, it goes like this. You can see the arrows here, here, and then it goes again here. Okay, so if there is a speaker and there are no listeners, there's no communication. If there is a writer and there is no reader, there's no communication. Okay, so communication takes two people, two groups of people, one person talking to another person, one person talking to a group of people. Okay, so oh, there are so many messages. Yeah, yeah. You are interested in learning about nonverbal communication, as your messages show. We are going to have a separate lecture on that. Okay, not just one lecture, but we are going to have lectures on nonverbal communication later on. Okay, so this is what the process is. When the sender has an idea, right, he encodes the message, and encoding is done through language, right? Now this encoding should be in a language that is shared by the sender and the receiver. For instance, right now I'm talking to you in English. Okay, so I assume that you know the language, right? That is why I'm speaking in English. Okay, if the code, you know, the code means the language. Okay, if the code that is being used by the speaker, and at the other end the receiver is unable to decode it because they do not share the single code, then there would be communication breakdown. Okay, for instance, right now I'm teaching this subject in the English department, but sometimes we have to teach the subject out of the English department. For instance, you know, this